What's happening, guys? Chris VA Travels down here in the lowlands of South Carolina, just a little ways outside of Charleston. And I've got a good one for you today. You architects and architecture lovers are gonna like this one. Visiting Drayton Hall. And it is perhaps the best example of Palladian architecture in the country. So yeah, check it out. So cool seeing these palmettos everywhere. All right, so after you park, you come up and to the left is the gift shop and where you check in. And to the right is a little video you watch, about a 7-minute video giving you the history. Their lives are all represented. Timeline over here, history of the plantation. Starting it out 1670, actually 1663, King Charles II, after the English Civil War, grants the land to 8 lord proprietors, and in 1670, the 8 English settlers arrive in what is known as Charlestown, obviously named after King Charles, and actually that's where Carolina comes from, Latin. Charles, 1744 to 1770, indigo, a plant grown to produce blue dye, becomes one of South Carolina's most lucrative cash crops. John Drayton is one of the 8 planters authorized to export indigo, wow, making him one of the most successful planters in the colony. And here's a miniature of Charles Drayton. 1779, John Drayton dies at Strawberry Ferry on the Cooper River while fleeing the British Army. Wow. His 4th wife, Rebecca Perry Drayton, inherits the property. Diorama right here. And I guess, did it used to be white? But you can see the breezeway was intact, and we've got these wings here when they were still standing. All right, yeah, we've got all your bottles, all your china shards. Okay, a couple face plates. Right here. Back here, museum gallery. Push. Settee here, circa 1750. From England or Scotland, it's mahogany with a beech seat frame. All right. Pretty cool. Yeah. Claw feet down there. The matching side chair. Marble top slab table right here, again mahogany. You've got the Greek key pattern going across. Okay, same manufacturer, same claw feet. Cool design going across the apron. Okay, up here some china. Porcelain plates, 1740 to 1750. And this was part of a set of 12. Desk and bookcase right here, 1745 to 1755, made in England. Check out the lock plate, drawer pulls. Okay. All right, so yeah, it looks like you would pull those out, pull it down, use it as a secretary maybe. Yeah, key pattern going across, broken arch pediment. Ionic columns in the Scamozzi style with the scrolls coming out at a 45-degree angle. This jug is out of Westerwald, Germany. You'll see the GR stands for Georgius Rex, Latin for George the King. Yeah, see all the shards, china. And this was an urn right here. remains of some iron tools over here. This is the Providence of South Carolina. A plan of Camden, it says up here. Oh, Cherokee land out west. A plan of Georgetown. Well, this is pretty horrible. This is a brand. And it's John Drayton's name. Back then, they used an I as a J. It says surviving brands such as this one are rare. And currently, this is the only known surviving one of its kind with a colonial American context. Silver brands were used with heated oil placed on the skin to create a raised scar. This large porcelain dish from China, 1662 to 1722. You'll see this marble top pier table with the shell design up front. Mahogany veneer, it says. And just kind of slight cabriole legs with the bun feet. Nice mirror up here. Some Dutch tiles over here. And yeah, see a lot of these up in New York, the Knickerbocker settlements. So the three up top, it says, this is depicting Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. I know I butchered that. This is a marriage settlement from 1752 between John and his third wife, Scottish-born Margaret Glenn. And she was the sister of Royal Governor James Glenn. Okay, and you'll see the seal right here. Yeah, and she hated living down here because of the heat and humidity. So after the children were grown, she moved back to Britain, and then she ended up dying prematurely. Oh, here's a close-up of the seal. And here's some hard paste porcelain, 1722. Here it is, giant 7-bay brick building going back to the 1740s. The land was acquired by John Drayton 1738 when he was 23 years old. You'll see some ionic columns on the upper level. Again, Palladian architecture, inspired by the works of Andrea Palladio, Italian Renaissance architect. And it was designed by John Drayton, and he had no experience in architecture. Again, 23 years old. Pretty incredible. Oh, and you had a couple wings here on the end, and they call them flanker buildings down here. And this is the remains. Yeah, in this spot, this is the remains. And you kind of had a breezeway hyphen connecting the building. And of course, obviously, Georgian architecture, you had a matching flanker building on the other side. You could pretty much cut the building in half, and the left side is going to look pretty much just like the right. And didn't get a good explanation on this mound, but the dirt came from this man-made pond. Yeah, see these geese? And this is a rice and indigo plantation. And so cool. Yeah, seeing these live oaks down here. And we do have some, I guess, in the southeast corner of Virginia, kind of, I guess, the Great Dismal Swamp, but they're not this grand.
Although if you go down to Louisiana, they get real crazy. You'll have the branches on the ground. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and walk the grounds. They've got a walking tour. Oh yeah, the size of this trunk. And the inside isn't furnished. And they were more focused on preservation here rather than restoration. So no furniture or anything like that. And almost a cube-shaped building. It looks like it's almost as deep as it is wide. Yeah, 6 bays on this side. It's kind of a mansard roof. Those two giant internal chimneys. And yeah, pretty impressive pediment. And kind of a protruding portico. Kind of cool. Medallions under the cornice. And you've got your magnolia over here. And we're just off the Ashley River. There were about 13 slave cabins on the property. It looks like none of the outbuildings really exist other than there's a privy over there that I'll take a look at. And I believe the carriage house is all that's left standing. And between 45 and 65 slaves on the property. And of course, not quite as grand on the backside. But 7 generations of Draytons lived here. That's pretty incredible. All right, so 3 pediments on the middle 3 windows up there. Kind of neat. Again, kind of fancy dual staircase. To tell you a little bit about John, he was born next door at Magnolia Plantation, which I believe you can visit. So hopefully I can squeeze that one in. And again, he purchased this land when he was 23 years old. Pretty amazing. And ended up acquiring through his lifetime 76,000 acres here in South Carolina. And again, grew mostly rice. I believe they called that Carolina Gold. Married 4 times. First 3 wives died prematurely. And when he was 60 years old, he married his 4th wife, Rebecca, when she was 17. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And they ended up having 3 kids as well. But I guess she knew how to play the game, because when he died, she got everything and she didn't remarry. So, yeah, kept everything in her name until 1886, when she ended up selling Drayton to John's son from his 2nd marriage, Charles. So, and yeah, again, and then 7 generations of Draytons ended up living in the house. This side, obviously, just the same as the other side, symmetrical building. Again, we would have had the breezeway hyphen going to the flanker. And I believe this flanker would have been the laundry. And you see they're doing some digs. Archaeologists are out here. Okay, yeah, we do have the Flemish bond brickwork, and you'll see the glazed headers make this thing shimmer when the sun hit it. So yeah, you know, this thing looked real pretty back then. A few things the archaeologists have found. So we've got a horseshoe. What's going on there? But oh, 1981 excavation. South half flanker building connected to the colonnade. Oh, possibly pre-Drayton well. Yeah, there was a house on the property before this one. Here's an 1886 photograph. Yeah, with both of the wings, flanker buildings, and the little breezeway thing. Doesn't look like that's there right now. Oh, but here's 1765 watercoloring. Okay. Cool. All right, so it looks like my tour group's headed this way. So yeah, let me go on. I'll take the tour. I'm going to be in a group of people, so I'll do my best to film. And again, I know this place is known for its architecture, so I'll do my best to slow down and zoom in. So here we go. tour starts in the basement. Pretty nice entrance. Looks like some sandstone blocks right here. Nice wrought iron gate. Pieces of the limestone column that once stood on the portico. And Charles Drayton had written it in his diary that it took 27 men to remove one of these. This bluestone floor was installed in the early 1800s. Paint analysis shows these walls were originally a bright yellow. One of the original 2 staircases, the other was removed because of damage. Cellar was used for storage. You'll see they did some cooking down here. The side rooms were used for storage and as living quarters for the 10 to 15 enslaved house workers that lived down here. Looks like this may have been one of the living quarters. I can tell you the cooks were Dunklin, Toby, and Sue. And I'm not seeing a fireplace in here, but there was a peg in the wall used to lock the door. You could imagine this was the storage back here. Yeah, okay, shelves, old shelves. Back here is an original door that stood in the entrance I just walked through. Yeah, just a basic 4-panel door. You could tell it was whitewashed at one time. Okay, well, we've got a small fireplace in this room. And this looks like a pretty solid door back here. The pretty simple locking mechanism. Nice view from the front porch. Above the window, you've got your soldier course, pressed rub brick. Yeah, same thing above the door, nice fan light. And these bricks were made on site by the enslaved workers. Painted by a Swiss artist, 1800s. And yeah, just a 5-part Palladian mansion. We're in the lower Great Hall, and this of course is where the guests were greeted. 3 layers of paint have been on the walls over the years. The original color was cream. This current green was added mid to late 1800s. Unbelievable plaster work. I'll let you soak this in. But actually, this isn't the original. This is the 3rd ceiling. It was added again mid to late 1800s. You can see the details in the leaves there. The wood paneling is cypress. Servant staircase you can see back here. I'm standing in the library. Yeah, this thing went all the way from the cellar to the attic. These walls have 7 layers of paint on them. Yeah, a smaller fireplace in the library here. Oh, yeah, we're currently in what was the dining room. There was originally a faux door in front of this brick. You'll see these burnt headers forming a diaper pattern, and they think the brick mason was just trying to practice their craft. Another small fireplace, broken arch pediment, lots of egg and dart, and pretty neat shell right there. Oh, while I'm thinking of it, I'll tell you that John was a loyalist for much of the Revolutionary War, but it became a patriot right towards the end. Over here on the side of the door is a family height chart, and they've been doing this consistently since the 1880s. 1956. Over here, the heights of the dogs. Panta, 1914. We're now in the drawing room. There used to be a Federal-style mantle on this fireplace, but it was stolen in the 1970s. On top of these fluted columns, you've got Ionic capitals, and that indicates the social significance of the room. Over the window here, hand-carved mahogany swags. Ceiling's original. It's the only ceiling in the house that's lasted since the time of construction. And as a matter of fact, it's one of the, if not the oldest plaster ceiling in North America. These mahogany railings, all hand carved, originally painted red. The ceiling here is 27 feet high. Okay, you can see some of the original red coloring right here. Very expensive paint. Lots of plaster in the house. Wow, that's a lot of cypress paneling. We are now in the upper grade hall, the most formal room in the house. Back in the 18th century, this is where events were held, balls, musical performances. Family crest painted on this canvas here. So we've got the Corinthian columns in the most formal room here. Oh, and there was a cat in the house named Tom that was here to take care of the rat problem. They think that one of the slaves that took care of the children may have slept in one of these side rooms. Looks like they may have had some tiles in the fireplace here. Serious magnolia, and I see a little write-up down here, so let me take a quick look at this. Oh, it just says Drayton Hall. It's on the National Historic Register. 1975. 50 years old.
This area was occupied by Catawba, Cherokee, Creek, Kiowa, Coosa, and Yamasee prior to European contact. Archaeology performed on site has recovered pottery and other evidence confirming the presence of Native Americans as long as 800 to 1400 years ago. This landscape was developed for inland rice cultivation in the late 17th century. Rice, a staple crop in many West African cultures, became a key cash crop for low country planters who benefited from enslaved Africans' rice-growing expertise. Knowledge of rice cultivation was so important to enslavers here that it became common for them to seek out enslaved people from areas of Africa where rice was culturally significant.
Stop number 1, the Grand Oak. Yeah, that branch is almost hitting the ground, but let me walk over and take a look at the well. These guys are catching some shade. Oh yeah, filled in, of course. What was that? Was that like an overflow or something? I've never seen that on a well. And I was about to say, I'm surprised there's not everything symmetrical. So I don't know if that's supposed to be its twin over there. It's not as big. But anyway. All right, let me find out where number 2 is. So stop number 2 is going to be this mound. Just found out the well is again late 19th century, and there were many other wells on the property. As I had mentioned, the flanker buildings went down late 1800s during a couple earthquakes. But the breezeway, the hyphens, the connectors, they think those went down during the American Revolution. Well, I got no additional information on the mound. I thought maybe a fountain or something sat right there, but it just says, again, the dirt from the pond was placed there. And yeah, so there was a building behind the flanker building right in front of me that they think one of the former slaves, I guess freed slaves after emancipation, had lived, the Bowen family. As I walk to stop number 3, is this a pile of bricks over here? So obviously this was something. Who knows what it might have been. Did it come from this flanker that fell during the earthquake and they just kind of moved the scrap over here? I don't know. Audio recording didn't really say. Next stop is going to be behind this tree. John Drayton fled the area during the American Revolution, died shortly afterward, And thousands of British troops camped on this area just before crossing the Ashley River for the siege on Charleston. All right, so next stop's gonna be over here. A bunch of palmettos back there. But also during the American Revolution, the house was used by both Patriots and British troops as a headquarters. And they think that John's fourth wife, Rebecca, perhaps was living in the house at the time, probably down in the basement. They don't know that totally for sure, but looks like this path here went back to the 18th century, took you down to the river. And yeah, we're up on a little terrace overlooking all these palmettos. So this ditch here to the left is called a ha-ha and has been present since the 1790s and acted kind of like a fence. Yeah, it was supposed to keep wildlife out of the gardens and away from the house, which I'm not quite understanding that, but that's what the that's what the guide said. Okay, so all right, I see the river. And yeah, very marshy. Well, I guess we're in the lowlands. And what is this right here? Looks like it's flowing pretty good. So I'm wondering if they had a dock out here and if this was originally the front of the house. This here is called a columnarium. I hope I pronounced that right. And cremated remains of some of the contemporary Drayton descendants. Yeah, you'll see 2006 right there, 2019, 1999. Those are blank. And what is this? Marley Stevens, 2024. Wow, so that was just less than a year ago. Gosh. All right, so that's pretty interesting. Most of the 18th and 19th century Draytons are buried in local churches. There is an African-American cemetery that I will stop at. It's kind of on the road on the way out. I'll stop off. Yeah, feels good in the shade right off the water here. Like I say, the river's pretty swift. Oh, all right, so a little carriageway right there. And these trees obviously were planted more recently, but we're coming up on the remains of a garden house that was constructed in 1747. Wow, so yeah, built same time as the house, basically. And you see the brick foundation right there. Oh wow, woods look cool right there. Maybe this will give some more information. Here's an 1845 sketch of it. Looks like this is going to be John Drayton's initials on top of the date. And again, they used the I as a J back then. Okay.
We've got the bowling green. That's a pretty impressive tree right there. But yeah, the bowling green right here, leading up to the back of the house. And you have to watch yourself around these magnolias. When a breeze blows through, some of those seed pods fall. See them on the ground here. One landed just right next to me. All right, let me check this out. You guys know the privy is the bathroom, also called a necessary. Yeah, get some shade over here. It's pretty warm in the sun. So if you come down here, I'd bring bug spray and some suntan lotion if you're from up north. I forgot that it's gonna be quite a bit warmer down here. 1791 this was built. And kind of fancy brickwork on the side. Oh, kind of neat how they've got these little brackets holding the blocks together. Oh, where are the little commodes? Again, they're focused on preservation, not restoration. So, but yeah, a little fireplace to keep you toasty, I guess, while you're doing that, doing your business. Yeah, but here we go, and you'd have the kids ones, yeah, on the side. So, and this one's got a little handle on it. All right. And the interior of the privy was sketched by Louis Gibbs. So we've got a 7-seater right here. All right. Trying to keep this chimney up. So yeah, take a look at this caretaker's cottage. And it's gonna be over here on the right. And I'll walk through the gardens after that. Go right up right here, and here it is. Oh, you can go inside. Visit the exhibit in the circa 1870 caretaker's house. 1976. Oh, we've got some of this leopard plant over here. I saw this when I was in Wilmington. Fat leaves down there. And this is a tea oil camellia. But yeah, take a look at this caretaker's house. Timeline right here. And here's typical laborer's house. Like I say, 13 of these. Oh, here's the floor plan. There it is in 1970. Oh, 1915. And floor plan, pretty basic building. 1870 when it was built. And all right, so apparently it was closer to the big house originally. And yeah, if you want to pause, you can read all the information. All right, let's see if it's open. Oh, it is, all right. Well, here's a corner brace, a diagonal corner brace, pre-Civil War, indicative of pre-Civil War framing. And whitewash frame. The first residents of this house likely whitewashed the framing and interior of the clapboards. Phosphate mining here at Drayton Hall, interesting. Pretty nice traveling trunk, and it's pretty good shape. Possibly Charleston, it says, 1852 to 1861. This wood mantel was made by Ezekiel Mays and another member of the African American community.
here's Ezekiel right here, 1910. Shaker style rocking chair with a slat back. And a walking stick. This represents half of the chimney that stood here until 1978. Let's take a walk through the garden, see if anything catches my eye. Lenhart Garden. On my way out, and I stopped to take a look at this African-American cemetery, and you'll see the gate where you check in. And you'll see, I don't know, a quarter mile down that way will be Drayton. Records indicate that this area was identified as a burying ground, likely for enslaved people, by the 1790s. Other records document its use in the late 1800s and throughout the 20th century. And African Americans lived in this area, the surrounding area, while they worked at the phosphate mine. All right. Another marker up here. And they can use some sort of ground penetrating sonar to tell where bodies are buried. So, okay, I see a bench a little further down. African American memorial that we just passed through. Let them rest. And the Bowens, they're the ones who lived here after emancipation. According to family history, Richmond Bowens was the 7th generation descendant of ancestors brought to Charleston in the 1760s with the Draytons from Barbados. And it says to date 40 graves have been located in this sacred place. And here are a few of the names. Toby, I can tell you, was injured while they were building that privy. Again, we've got pine cones. I don't see, well, there is a magnolia back there, but pods are falling off those things. And this is a very rooty path for anybody coming out. Let me first take a look at this one. So a lot of members of the Bowens family, I would think, and this is Reverend Irvin Singleton Sr., 1962. Yeah, Bowens right here. Okay, well, she made it to 90, or he made it to 90, I'm sorry, and Velma is still alive. Or I'm sorry, maybe 2016. It's saying right here. All right. John Walker right here. All right, well, Cleveland Johnson. It looks like there's a kind of a footstone, or I don't know if there's something different behind it. Yeah, they would have the initials again, Cleveland Johnson. All right, let's see what else is back here. This kind of stops right here, so that might be it. I'm not seeing anything back there. And this, of course, would be more well-worn if there was anything to look at. Okay, I think that was probably all of them. That's it for Drayton. Very impressive building. But stay tuned. More sites down here in Charleston, and I'll see you guys on the next one.